All right, so I said that I would read one of my own pieces, and I did another piece with Azalea Banks, but now I'm going to read one. This isn't really quite too long about that I wrote about Johnny Depp, and this is actually this predates the whole fiasco with Amber Heard and everything. This predates all of that because I kind of come back around and write a few words about Johnny every now and again because I love him so much. So, but this article wasn't really the nicest. So, but let's see. I don't know. I was just kind of sad. I'm just sad about him in this article if I remember correctly. So let's read it. I'll probably use my stupid accent a little bit. I have, in all honesty, been convinced for some time now that somebody evil swept poor John Christopher Johnny Depp into a sadistic, malevolent contract 100 years ago, and has since, in the past few years, begun to insist dangerously that Mr. Depp continue to uphold it. I'm convinced of this. In truth, I quite honestly think that the man has maybe even been turned and is currently in that seething hotbed of immorality and sin called Los Angeles, 100% against his will. Now, indeed, this is the narrative and the image that I've created for Mr. John Depp inside my superstitious little head. As I slip back through all the pages, it occurs to me more and more just how right I truly am. For one thing, from where we're standing today, we all must admit that the new Johnny Depp resembles very little of the old. Something went wrong, you see. Something went unbelievably, horrifically wrong. And personally, I think it all goes back to a contract. A signed contract. You see, Johnny struck out from modest little Miramar, Florida, so I believe, to travel to Hollywood a long time ago, when he was very, very young. And he likewise signed a dirty, very dirty contract when he was young as well. I'm thus of the sincere belief that whatever he agreed to in that rotten fucking thing is now the result of what he has currently become. In other words, I think that at one point an escape attempt was made by Johnny himself, but it backfired. The bastard wolves of that dismal and vicious Los Angeles scene, none of whom know the first thing about art, my friend. They sucked him back in. I swear at one point he quite seriously almost got free. He made him a good run, but that leash that them motherfucking executives and agents and producers tie in Hollywood, it's a tight fucking leash. A suffocatingly tight leash. And when they snapped it back, Johnny was whipped backwards like a dog, and he went flying right back to Hollywood, also known around here as Hellwood. Now, when we sit back and realize that Johnny is not even a fucking pit bull, but more like a lovable little Dalmatian, it makes it all the worse. An evil pit bull, well, he might have broken the leash with the force of mad strength in a fit of barking, drooling, and growling terror. But at the same time, that pit bull also would have attacked innocent folks afterwards, like Bruce Willis and that abominable fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. But Johnny, he ain't like them. He is not a pit bull. He is instead a Dalmatian, as are all the best artists, Dalmatians. In other words, you see, he's too nice for that bullshit. He's too nice. He's too much of a gentleman. Too much of an artista. So what wound up happening was that the wolves of fucking Hollywood, not the wolves of Wall Street and fuck that movie, well, the wolves of Hellwood, Los Angeles, they came for him. Now, the story is very complex, and it might be too much for me to describe here because I lose my mind sometimes, but in all likelihood, it is quite real. Now, I think the horrific thought first struck me not this past summer, but the one that came before it when I heard that Johnny had split, yes, split, from his longtime lover and the mother of his children, Vanessa Paradis. It's not Paradise, it's Paradis. Now, I don't know why, but it was that exact situation for some goddamn reason caused me to open my eyes and start taking a look around. It wasn't long afterwards when the Jonathan roller coaster started to, well, in my opinion, swing not necessarily wildly, but rather oddly out of control. You see, the first odd thing that happened was when I read that Johnny had decided to sell all his property off in beautiful France and return for God knows what reason to the United States. Immediately I started to question what was really going on. For those who are unaware, his lover Vanessa Paradis as far as this one writer has always been concerned, is the literal epitome of not just French class and grace, but also European elegance as a whole. Why, she sings, she dances, she acts, she does it all. She's like Daisy Duke, except she better. Now, I know, if you know your way around and you look hard enough, you can find all this out yourself by tracking down where situated. This is just evidence of Vanessa Paradis's greatness, but where situated with only one acoustic guitarist, Vanessa Paradis gives us the most refined performance of a song dedicated to the famous American saxophonist Chet Baker. And she does it completely in that luscious and leaky French tongue. Now, I can still remember the first time that I watched the footage, the first time I found it. It was a rainy night that night. Oh, I was in between flights at JFK Airport, John F. Kennedy in New York City. Well, I had just been coming back from Europe that very night, in fact. I flew in from Charles de Gaulle, that's in France. And I was waiting to hop my connection to get back down to fucking Texas with my miserable brother-in-law, and I, unfortunately, are condemned to live. Now, for whatever reason, I have been passing the time reading I was looking through them a little bit, because I can't read French too well, but I was looking through the French tabloids when I came across news which revealed to me a few splattered details about Paradis. I remember I was shocked. Granted, I was always as a fan of Johnny aware of Paradis. I had never actually read a story which was entirely about her. I was intrigued. Well, I looked into it more. I flipped backwards into old, leaky John Depp newspaper and magazine interviews from the late 1990s when he first met Vanessa Paradis. Until the modern day, I learned everything. Now, keep in mind that at this time, the daughter Lily Rose Depp, she had yet to take this nation by storm with her photo work and her roles in the recent Sex and the City offshoot, The Carrie Diaries. She didn't do that yet. It's a big hit with the 16, 17-year-old crowd. Now, of course, even my young sibling is aware of Lily Rose, but at the time, even young, spry, pale-faced, and very bone-cheeked, but that family got bone cheeks. You ever seen the way their jaws are? They got bone jaws. This part here, this bone just stick out. It stick out big time. Now, anyways, at that point in time, Lily Rose was just a fringe figure. She was operating on the sidelines, and she was a voice too young to have yet been heard. And also keep in mind that at this time, Jonathan was still with Vanessa Paradis. See, they were still living in fucking France, and they were still having the time of their lives on an estate that was worth, $12 million. I mean, it was beautiful. There was nothing comparable here in the States. Now, he also had yet to do that terrible role in Black Mass, where he played that evil, dumb, ugly Irishman. Didn't like him. Anyways, he didn't meet that terrible Texan either. Amber Heard. Ugh. See, I even now weep to my poor self here in my fucking poverty as I think about the way that Jonathan Christopher Depp threw away a French life, a beautiful royal privilege to return back to that goddamn rat city of Los Angeles. I weep. I mourn. I die. Yes, I flip back channels, I jump rivers in my mind. I try to leap back into the old heroic Johnny Depp, the one who existed. Yes, the one who existed even before our fucking Pirates of the Caribbean bullshit, which I love, but something changed. I remember the one who worked with the likes of Roman Polanski on Ninth Gate when he gallivanted around Paris reading bad translations of Bukowski in French and smoking an endless supply of Gitanes. Yes, I go wandering down that road a piece to when Depp was still saying things that made a difference. Something in me still likes to remember what he used to say. I throw open the window and I listen for old Johnny, the original Johnny. And I remember when he says, and I quote, "America's dumb. It's like a dumb puppet. Got big teeth that can bite and hurt you. It's aggressive. In fact, my daughter's 4 now. My boy's what, 1. I'd like them to see America as a toy. A broken toy. Investigate a little bit. Check it out. Get the feeling. And then get out. 'Cause America's dumb.